Hello and welcome to my Today in History channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimana. It's the 3rd of January. Let's get cracking with today's events as recorded in history. So, first we shall start with events on this day in 1521. Interestingly, it was an excommunication. Martin Luther on this day was excommunicated by Pope Leo X. And this is the document that precipitated that event on this day. So it states excommunication notice, so that's the title. This is to certify that Martin Luther of the parish of Saxony was publicly denounced and effectually declared excommunicate in the Roman Catholic Church on Sunday, the 3rd of January, 1521, so signed by Pope Leo X. Now, what led to his being excommunicated? What did Martin Luther do? What was he accused of doing? He was a German priest, first of all. He questioned certain practices of the Roman Catholic Church. In fact, these certain practices were 95 in total. So he nailed these theses, if you like, these practices, which he thought were wrong, to the door of his church in Saxony. And not long after that, he was excommunicated by the Roman Catholic Church, headed by Pope Leo X at the time. So again, 1521, on this day, Martin Luther was excommunicated by Pope Leo X. He issued what is known as the papal bull called the Decet Romanum Pontificem, which would have looked something like this, very likely written in Latin. Okay, 100 years later, 1621, the first documented black child, son of slaves who arrived in America in 1619, was born. So his name is William Tucker, first documented black child born in America. Now, in 2019, African Americans worldwide celebrated the Year of the Return, and a lot of them started making their way back to Africa. Ghana especially has hosted probably hundreds, perhaps thousands of African Americans in recent years. 2019 was that turning point where a lot of African Americans visited the motherland. I say, well, it is the motherland. I was going to say the motherland in quotes, but most of them had never been to Africa before. And, a lot of them talked about the experience that they felt, they felt that this was home. There was just something spiritual, something drawing them to Africa. And when they arrived, they felt that they were finally home. They felt safe. They felt that this was where they belonged. People go through a lot of emotions, the problems of racial equality that America still has, unfortunately. A lot of African Americans have been scarred, by the way they've been treated, mistreated, not treated fairly. So it is understandable that a lot of them have this yearning for a place where they feel safe, they feel respected. It's totally understandable. So again, this was the first African American, essentially, the first black person who was born, or first documented black person who was born in the United States. It was not known as the United States, and I might hasten to add. William Tucker, 1621, was born on this day. Coming up in a few minutes, a world-renowned South African-born British author was also born on this day. So keep watching. Before that, in 1793, American reformer, pictured here, Lucretia Mott, was born. With this lady, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, they formed or founded the women's rights movement in the United States. But this was a day that Lucretia Mott, who is a women's rights activist and also an abolitionist, she was born on this day in 1793. And it says here, there's a picture here which says, with a quote on it, which says, "I have no idea of submitting tamely to injustice inflicted either on me or on the slave. I will oppose it with all the moral powers with which I am endowed. I am no advocate of passivity." Now, let's move on now to the year 1883. Clement Attlee, pictured right here, British Labour Party leader from 1935 to 1955 and Prime Minister 1945 to 1951, was born. In 1892, 9 years later, this is a guy that I mentioned earlier. His name is J.R.R. Tolkien. English author and scholar, South African-born J.R.R. Tolkien was perhaps best known for his richly inventive epic fantasy, The Lord of the Rings, which he wrote between 1954 and 1955, was born in South Africa. This is a book by, I'll show his name shortly, just adjust this a little bit. His name is Colin Duries. So go check out this book, The Making of a Legend by Colin Duries. Let's move now to the year 1929. But before that, coming up in a few minutes, two race car drivers made history on this day. Who were these guys? You probably can guess one of them, but the other one, chances are you won't even have heard of him. So, 1929, on this day, what happened? Let me reveal what happened. This is Italian motion picture director Sergio Leone, known primarily for his popularization of the spaghetti western. So, Sergio Leone was born on this day in 1929. He popularized spaghetti westerns. 1959, on this day, so 30 years later, Alaska was admitted to the Union. Alaska became the 49th United States state, if you like. So you can see from this newspaper extract or newspaper clipping, says we are in. 64-20 vote makes Alaska 49th state. So that's what happened on this day in 1959. In 1977, Apple was incorporated by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, pictured here. It later became one of the most valuable companies in the world, known for innovative computer and electronic products. Born on this day in 1955. First African-American Formula One race car driver, Willie T. Reeves. So this is one of the Formula One drivers who was born on this day in 1955. The other one was Michael Schumacher. So Michael Schumacher was also born on this day, 14 years after Willie T. Reeves. That's Michael Schumacher, born on this day in 1969 as well. So happy birthday, Willie T. Reeves and Michael Schumacher. On this day also, Mel Gibson was born. The year was 1956, and this is Mel Gibson pictured right here, the bearded Mel Gibson, born on this day. He is an American-born Australian actor, director, and producer. Now, imagine blasting rock music at the Vatican for 10 straight days, all in the name of psychological warfare. What am I talking about? Stay tuned. 1969, on this day, Louie Stokes, pictured here, was sworn in as the first African-American congressman from Ohio. So this is Congressman Louie Stokes, who was sworn in on this day. In 1979, history was made as well when Melvin H Evans became the first elected governor of the Virgin Islands. He was a physician, as it says here. Medical doctor, Dr. Melvin H Evans was sworn in as the first elected governor of the Virgin Islands. The year again was 1979. He was born in 1917. Melvin H Evans. Next, in 1990, yes, I did talk about psychological warfare. This is the story. So, after undergoing 10 days of psychological warfare, this guy pictured here, his name is Manuel Noriega, Panamanian military leader, surrendered to the United States. So, the music, the US forces essentially blasted rock music at the Vatican for 10 straight days. And this is where Manuel Noriega was hiding. So he sought refuge in the Vatican, but the US military obviously wanted to fish him out of his hole, as it were, and blasted rock music for 10 days. And he eventually gave up. He surrendered to the United States on this day in 1990. 2001, on this day, history was made when Hillary Clinton was sworn in as a U.S. Senator from New York, having become the first lady in U.S. history to win elective office. So Hillary Clinton made history on this day by becoming the first lady in the United States to win elective office. Last but not least, in 2004, NASA's Mars rover called Spirit landed on Mars to study the chemical and physical composition of the planet's surface, the red planet's surface. On that note, we have come to the end of today's Today in History. Thanks once again for dropping by, guys. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. It will help push my videos to more viewers. I appreciate it. So like, share to any of these social media platforms, or all of them if you've got them, and of course subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell, okay, so that would notify you of my video releases. Thanks again, guys, for dropping by. Check out this video as well. It's an interesting one. I talk about Lisa Kudrow and, of course, this guy pictured here who became a woman. Go check it out. I'm sure you know who he is. NASA, obviously, Giorgio Vasari. So go check it out. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow, January 4th, for another edition of Today in History. Thanks for dropping by. My name, once more, Sotonye Afiese Man. Stay safe. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.